What's up you guys, I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap. Today we'll go a drive with FSD Beta 10.69.2. Hey guys, so it's been actually almost 3 months now since I got FSD Beta, and I've gotten to really know the system a lot better. Kind of updated it a couple times along the way, but now that we're getting close, hopefully, fingers crossed, to the release of version 11, which is going to be single stacks. It's going to do the city street stuff as well as the highway. And then I think, I know that Elon has said also that there are a lot of neural networks, a lot of C+ code has been replaced with neural nets. So hopefully all of that is going to mean an improved driving experience, so we shall see. Let me get you a little bit more head on. There we go. But so why don't we take a look at the state of FSD Beta as it is right now, as it works on my car. And then I'll just talk about, some of the things that I've noticed as we go on the drive. Okay, engaging FSD Beta now. And as we've seen before, it does understand gates, which is great. FSD Beta patiently waiting, and here we go, proceeding through the gate. Now, one thing is, in situations like this, Beta does not really understand which side of the lane to be in. Obviously, since we're making a right turn, we want to be over on the right-hand side here, but Beta doesn't do that, which is pretty annoying. So I guess, since there's no one behind me, I'm going to let it be. But if I were driving on my own, then of course I would hit the accelerator pedal. We can see that the tentacle there is, kind of going around the car. And so I would make the car, our car, the Ego car, go around this Kia in front of us. But while we're waiting, I'll take the opportunity to put on my sunglasses because it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day. Oh, now I've got a car behind me, so I am going to start tapping the accelerator here. I had to disengage to get around. All right. Pretty annoying, but that's okay. All right, here we go. I'm just going to push forward here. That Kia obviously was kind of being a jerk and blocking up the road. Very annoying. So they weren't driving any better than Beta would. They were right kind of almost in the middle when they should have been taking a left turn. So pretty annoying. Another interesting thing I've noticed here with Beta is this time, because there's this line of cars, we're moving over into this lane very early, but most of the time Beta likes to run over those rumble strips. So it doesn't get into the lane all that early. It kind of waits until a later point. So that's kind of one annoyance. And then the other is this trajectory here for these left turns. It tends to take them kind of wide, and then it corrects itself getting into the lane here. And I have no idea why Beta does that. It should take the initial turn wider and then cut in so that it's kind of going, straight into the lane instead of butting into someone else's lane like that. So that's no good. So of course I'm going to focus on the things that I've noticed that are, kind of subpar. I'll try to think of some of the things that are really great as we go along the way. But I will say, in general, the best part is that for the most part, very few interventions are required on my part. They're usually in order to make it less cautious, because it is overly cautious for my taste. But that's the best way to go with Beta software, right? Is to keep people safe. The other thing is lane selection. So given the distance that we have to travel, I wouldn't be staying in this left lane. I generally like to move into the middle lane so that, if people want to take a left turn or a right turn, they can move towards that outside lane more easily. My intention is, to keep going, so I should be kind of more in the middle. And I'm also not speeding all that much, right? I'm going to be going just 5 miles above the speed limit. So I'd say that lane selection is still definitely a problem for Beta. It is an issue, and it still doesn't really think ahead very much. I think part of the issue, and one of the things that everyone's saying could be solved by higher resolution cameras and hardware 4, which we should hopefully learn a lot more about officially from Tesla. As of this filming on February the 15th, we actually got a lot of leaks about it from Green the Only. these higher resolution cameras and also maybe a better placement of the cameras should give the car a better view, both to the sides from the new placement of the cameras so that it won't have to creep out as much before it can see. And then also just having the higher resolution will mean it can make out the details further away, giving it essentially, you know, better vision, better distance vision, which can help also with high-speed traffic situations where it might not be able to tell that, hey, there's an oncoming car, but then, you know, with the better cameras, it will be able to see further. So that was pretty good, I guess. It was maybe a little bit more of a slowdown than I would have done, but, you know, again, Beta always erring on the side of caution generally, which I think is really good. There are some situations where it doesn't, and those are really funny and weird, but they're pretty rare. And even in those, you know, maybe I intervene before the car has a chance to take the same action, but, you know, better for me to be safe than sorry with the car as well. So we're coming up on one of those situations where, you know, I can see up there that flashing arrow that tells me I've got to merge lanes. And so Beta should be knowing, hey, I've got to get over and I've got to merge lanes pretty soon here, but it's not doing anything. So I don't know if we're going to get to the point where it's going to realize that. Let's find out when, because I'm looking behind us and we're okay right now in terms of other cars. So here we go. It did it, but it slowed down too much, which is messing up with the flow of traffic. So I probably would have hit the accelerator there, were I not filming. And then now it's trying to get over to a lane that, of course, is closed. And so it's being really, I mean, I get what it's trying to do, but it's not going to work. All right, so let's see. I need to make a left turn, and let's see if the car is going to be able to do it. This is kind of a tricky one. I don't know if it's going to figure out what's happening here. Okay, no, it kind of screwed it up. So we should have probably taken the left turn behind us. Yeah, we should have, according to the nav. So even as we can see here, this is a relatively simple drive that we were taking just down the road to pick up some takeout. But Beta failed because it doesn't know how to handle construction. It's still got a major phobia for construction zones, and then also it just didn't plan ahead when we had that lane closure. And you know, that didn't cause a failure, but certainly it wasn't done as well as I would have liked to have seen. So there we go. We'll see how we do on the way back home. All right, got the food. Should be delicious. This is a really great place called Taste of Thai Plano. Highly recommend it. And of course, Beta can't do all this backing up stuff yet, so I'm having to do that for us. All right, as soon as I'm able to, yep, I'm able to engage it, so we're going to do that now. There's no traffic coming, so that's good, but that's one of those situations I was talking about where Beta's actually not that careful, and it just kind of pulled out there without really looking. So thankfully it was fine. I looked and I had my foot hovering over the brake, but that's probably the only really dangerous thing that Beta does sometimes, is it'll take those right turns out of parking lots without checking to make sure that it's clear first. To recap, on the way here, the first disengagement was just, you know, out of courtesy for the driver behind me. It would have been fine to continue to wait, and the car would have eventually made the right turn out of the complex. But the other disengagement was absolutely necessary because Beta missed the turn, and then it would have been very hard for it to get back where it needed to be on these roads. This traffic pattern that we're about to see here is really unsafe. I don't know if you can see, but over there's a bunch of reflectors that are veering off to the right. And so we have, well, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here with the lanes. It's really, really unsafe. And so what's going to end up happening is we're going to have a merge situation when we get to the other side of the intersection that is going to be very unsafe. You can see Beta try to map it, so it's got this one lane turning into two, and we're continuing straight here. But what can happen, which is happening with this car to the right here, is they're continuing over there, but then their lane is going to end up merging into ours right here. yeah, I don't know. Or he just like crossed over those reflectors. I don't know what's going on, but it is really stupid and they need to fix it. So we don't want to do that. This is probably my biggest annoyance with Beta is lane selection. So it wants to get over into the rightmost lane this time, when again, you know, we have a long ways to go before we need to be in that lane. And so the right thing to do would be to be in the center lane. And it annoys me so much that I keep hitting the turn stalk to cancel that lane change, even though I should be just letting it do whatever for this video. But again, it's a courtesy thing too. Like if people want to turn right, then I don't want to be hogging the right lane when I'm going straight. And as I say that, you can see people are not always that courteous. Obviously, there's a guy there that isn't taking a right turn and is hogging that lane. But I would like to do better than the average, if possible. Which, you know, by the same token, Beta helps me to do because it is paying attention everywhere. And so I do think that having both Beta and me driving together is safer than me just driving on my own, and it is a whole lot more relaxing as well. I do hope though that its lane selection and lane changing logic gets improved a lot in the future. Also, its turn signal usage logic gets improved, and then its you know, phobia of cones gets a little bit lessened to where it can figure out what to do in those situations without freaking out quite as much. So we'll see. They seem to have some ADD. I don't know why we slowed down there. That was a strange phantom brake. Beta's just a little bit too sensitive, I think, to a lot of things in general. And sometimes being cautious can be the unsafe thing to do if you're overly cautious. All right, so here we go. We're gonna have to make a left turn in a moment, but Beta's just so scared of cones that it can be really, really hard for her to do. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Let's see, she needs to make a left turn here. Needs to make the left turn, thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, the trajectory she took is not the one that I would have taken. Let's see, yeah, okay. I didn't have to intervene and hit the accelerator there, so that was good. And there we are. Alright guys, there we go. That was a drive on FSD Beta 10.69.2. And as you can see, it's still not there. It is a good driving aid. It is a lot like Navigator on autopilot on steroids. It really, a lot of times, if there's no construction and we have a simple situation, then I can have disengagement and intervention-free drives, which is great. But I've noticed, I think really, especially with this last point update, its skittishness has been increased, and so that has actually made it worse in some ways. And yeah, I mean, it's just especially around construction having a lot of problems still, and then also with the lane selection and the turn signals and some of the planning stuff. So fingers crossed it's going to be improved when we get the version 11 and then over time as well. We shall see how much FSD Beta can do with the current hardware. Unfortunately, cars like mine doesn't look like are going to be eligible for a retrofit to hardware 4. But yeah, fingers crossed it's still going to do a lot. And no matter how far we get, it's still a great driver's aid. And I'm really enjoying having the software on the car. I definitely use it every single time that I drive. All right, thanks guys for watching. If you liked today's video, do please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.